Welcome to History with Kids. Today we're diving into the secret history of the Mongols with quotes from the Christopher Atwood translation. We should alert you, this episode includes discussion of violence and kidnapping. We're not trying to scare anyone, but this may not be for sensitive listeners. Now, kids, what do you know about the Mongols?
I know that Mongols have bows made out of the horse's skeleton, and they're extremely powerful, and they often ride their horses, shoot as many arrows as they can, and then flee.
That's a good tactical knowledge. Noodle, anything you want to add?
Don't know anything about the Mongols. Not that much of a Mongolian person.
Well, then this is a great chance to learn. Where in the world is Mongolia? What countries is it near? Do either of you know?
Really?
Mongolia is between China and what's now Russia. China is a super old civilization, and there have been the Chinese people there since way before the Mongols. Russia back then was more of a chaotic mess, frankly. Now, the land up in Mongolia is generally fairly cold and fairly dry. There's a lot of mountains. Back then, the people there did not grow plants for food. They had horses, lambs, cows, and other animals. They drank milk and ate cheese and meat. And different groups fought each other a lot and were very strong. So, if you were China next to Mongolia, what would your strategy be for keeping yourself safe from the groups in the north, like the Mongols?
I would make barricades.
There are a lot of different groups in this area. Mostly they're fighting each other more than they're fighting you.
You can team up with some of the Mongolians and then say like that tribe's very evil. I would suggest to attack them now. And if you don't, they'll probably attack you.
Yes, yes, you're totally right. You would try to keep the tribes fighting each other. And you would play the tribes off against each other so that their energy goes into fighting each other rather than fighting you. Great, great insight. And some of the groups, I should say, are Mongolian. Some of them are other groups that are similar to the Mongols next to them. So that's what China did. But then a group from the north called the Jurchens got powerful. The Jurchens were a neighbor of the Mongols, similar group, and conquered the northern half of China. The Jurchens were not sure how to control and rule all of that area going forward. What would you do if you were the Jurchens, a nomadic horse people who had just conquered a huge chunk of China?
I would try to like attack a bunch of other places to get even bigger on me.
Well, at this point, the problem is controlling what you've conquered. So you've conquered so much, but your people mostly live up in the north still. And the people you've conquered don't like you very much.
I would either try to team up with the Mongolians or I would build barricades.
The Jurchens decided to move most of their soldiers and their people into China, into forts scattered across the land that they had conquered. And, Soupy, you're right, they built a wall on the north part of their terrain. So now, though, that created what's called a power vacuum in the cold north, which means that there's nobody totally in control and there's nobody who's really ensuring the balance of power. That means no one's doing what you suggested earlier, Scoops, of getting the different groups to fight each other and make sure none of them get too powerful. That is the key context of the story of the rise of the Mongols. In other words, what I'm saying is the Mongols caught a wave because the Jurchens had just pulled out of that area. And all of a sudden, there was an opportunity for somebody to get really big and control the whole steppe. And the Mongols took that opportunity. So we've talked about where, I should say when we are. This is the 13th century, which is the Middle Ages in Europe. What do you both know about medieval times? Niddle?
In medieval times, there was a lot of countries didn't like each other.
True.
I think that medieval times is a great place to be because they serve nice food and you get to watch.
Ha! You're talking about the entertainment of medieval times, like the show. Fair enough. Well, in Europe, medieval times means knights. In America, it means native societies are nearing their peak. In the Islamic world, Salah ad-Din is on the rise. In Africa, the Mali Empire is on the rise. And that's all happening while today's story is underway in Mongolia and China. All right, there's one last piece of context. Today we're talking about the secret history of the Mongols. Any guesses why it's called a secret history?
Because most people don't know about it.
That's not it. Noodle?
Maybe because it was like a lot of war.
Nope, it's because it was not written for the world, just for the royal family and the people close to the royal family in Mongolia. In other words, we were never supposed to know what's written in this book that we're basing today on.
But how come we did?
Excellent question. Hundreds of years after it was written down, it was written in kind of a code, and a copy of it was found by accident and decoded. And so now it's available to the world.
Was it decoded?
It was written in Chinese characters, but it's in Mongolian. So they wrote it using a different language's writing system than their own language. And you have to read it phonetically, which means you have to make the sounds of each character. And someone figured this out. And it was also hidden physically. So it wasn't in a spot that was easy to find. All right, let's get started with the secret history of the Mongols. Today we'll talk about the earliest parts of the story before Genghis Khan was called Genghis Khan. A gray wolf and a female deer started a family. Kids, is that a normal thing for a wolf and a deer to have kids?
Good question.
Yes.
What is this part of our story?
This is the beginning of the secret history of the Mongols.
But I thought this wasn't a fairy tale.
Well, excellent point. So I think that it's not actually a real wolf and a real deer. I think, and I've heard this said elsewhere, that they're the symbols of different tribes. And it's saying the wolf tribe and the doe tribe came together. What do you think, Noodle?
Wait, what was the question again?
Do you think that this is an actual wolf and deer starting a family, or do you think that they're two tribes that came together?
Two tribes that came together because deers can born families and wolves can born families, but I'm pretty sure that one of them might stay behind because they think that the other one might eat that one.
That's a great point. I agree with you.
Because they do taste good.
Many generations later, there was a lady born, and the lady was named Alun the Fair. She had 5 sons who did not get along. They were fighting with each other. Now, here's what the book says Alun the Fair did on one spring day. She sat down her 5 sons in a row, and here's a quote now. She gave them each an arrow shaft and told them to break it. Each one was broken. Why would they not be? And let fall. Again, she bundled together 5 arrow shafts, gave the shafts to them, and told them to break them. All 5 kids, one after another, took the 5 arrow shafts joined together, but were unable to do as she said and break it. What do you think that means?
It means that they weren't working together.
Yes! Here's the next quote. What Alun the Fair told her kids. She said, "You are just like the 5 arrow shafts. If you are alone one by one, you will be easily broken by anybody, like the single arrow shafts. If, like the arrow shafts joined together, you are joined in a cord as one, then how could you be easily broken by anyone?" What do you think of that advice?
I think it's good advice.
I agree.
So I don't know why she asked them to break arrow shafts. I would have asked them to break like a stick or something.
Well, arrow shafts are kind of sticks. Now, do you think this is good advice for the two of you?
No. Maybe. Yes. Maybe.
Should I get some arrows so that you guys can learn this for yourselves?
No. Yes. No. Yes.
Now, do you think that her kids followed her good advice?
Yes.
I wish what you were saying was true.
Yes, but no, it isn't.
Correct. Well, while she was alive, they followed, they listened to her. But after she died at old age, 3 of her kids stole the inheritance of the other 2.
What's inheritance?
The things that they were supposed to inherit, they were supposed to get from their parents who weren't alive anymore. And the other 2 kids had to leave that area. One of them, because they weren't being nice, one of them was named, I'm probably mispronouncing this, Bodanchar. Bodanchar the Simple, that was his name. And Bodanchar the Simple wandered away with a horse and a falcon and he lived among a group of people far away. His brother looks for him and finds Bonachar the Simple, and then something weird happens. Now remember, these are all stories about the ancestors of Genghis Khan, the great Khan. All right, so here's what Bonachar the Simple tells his brother. Big brother, how happy for a body to have a head and a coat to have a collar. What do you think that means?
I'm not sure.
You know?
Don't know.
His brother didn't know either, but Bonachar the Simple repeated it. Big brother, how happy for a body to have a head and a coat to have a collar. Any ideas now?
Nope.
Yeah, that's fair. His brother didn't know. Yeah,
It's good that he's alive.
that was my thought, actually. Well, his brother eventually said, all right, Bonachar, you got to tell me what you're talking about here. Bonachar explained he was talking about the local people in this area. He said, here's a quote. They have no big or little, no bad or good, no head or hoof. They're all on a level. They would be easy folks to handle. Let's capture them. And they do. Welcome to Mongolia, kids. What do you think of that?
I think no.
Noodle?
No.
Well, this is the rule of their society.
Wait. Are those two brothers? Is one of them the one that stole the money and the other the one that...
These were the two that had the money stolen from them. This kind of dynamic happened a lot. We're going to skip ahead to when our hero is born, Genghis Khan. But he's not called that yet. Khan is a ruler. When he's born, he's not in charge of the group of people.
So he's just called Genghis?
He's called Temujin. That's his real name, Temujin. Now, the secret history does not tell us much about Temujin's early life. But when he was 9 years old, his dad takes him on a trip to his mom's relatives to see if they can find Temujin a good wife. They meet a girl, 10 years old, named Borte, if I've got the chronology right. And here's how she is described. She's, quote, a girl with flame in her eyes and fire in her face. That's a good thing.
It sounds bad though.
What do you think, Diddle?
Sounds bad.
Well, everyone gets along, and it's decided that Temujin and Borte will be married. How would you guys feel if you were engaged to be married at ages 9 or 10?
Bad.
Fair enough. On the way home, Temujin's dad runs into some people that he knows from a group called the Tartars. The Tartars don't like him, but they invite him to eat dinner with them. Is that a good idea or a bad idea for Temujin's?
Bad.
Temujin's dad gets poisoned by the Tartars.
Do it.
He manages to get home, and then he dies. So now this is a big problem for Temujin's family, because the rest of the clan doesn't like them very much. So Temujin's mom, brothers, and sisters have to fend for themselves in the wilderness.
Why don't people like them?
Because basically the politics within the group is the short answer. So here's what the book says happens next, mostly about Temujin's mom. Here's a quote. Born both womanly and wise, finding wild fruits, crab apples, and cherries, filled she night and day their famished throats, the kids' throats. Well raised on wild garlic and onion, they were brought up to rulership. Reared on rangelands' wild bulbs, they would be right-minded rulers. What do you think about this?
I don't understand.
It's saying that they had to really, the mom had to do a lot of hard work in the wilderness to make sure her kids had enough food.
Why?
Because it was a hard life. They were living on their own in the wilderness up in Mongolia, modern day Mongolia. It's a hard life. And the mom really worked hard to protect her family and make sure people had enough so they could eat.
And they probably didn't like the foods that they could get.
That's a good point. But what does it say about how sometimes if you're a kid and things are tough, later you can do great things?
Being brave and resilient.
Yes, that's right. This taught them to be more brave and resilient. Do you think more kids should have to live in the wilderness with their families?
No.
Why?
Because that would feel good.
Well, but it made them strong.
Okay, but we're not in the Mongolian time anymore.
Fair.
Yeah, and also, it won't feel good. And also, if you don't need to, I won't perform it. Because then it'll be really hard to get out. And it will be really hard for us to live.
Well, don't worry. We're not going to do this for real. And also don't worry, because the mom took care of the kids, but the kids also took care of the mom and of each other. Here's some of what the book says next.
So they did get along well.
This,
They didn't.
the immediate family got along, but they didn't get along with the extended family, with like their cousins and that kind of thing. Okay, here's what the book says happened next. Saying to each other, "We must feed our mother," they sat on Mother Anand, that's the river, but muddy banks, and mastered metal hooks and lures, catching maimed and motley fish. They sifted pools for silver minnows, and so they served back mother's love. I think that's nice. What do you think?
I think that's nice.
Noodle?
I think that's nice.
One day the kids catch a fish, but they're grabbing it from each other and they're fighting over it. I'm sure they're all super hungry. Here's what the mom says to the kids who are fighting. "No spiteful talk, please. Stop it. Why are you so little in accord? Like Allen the Fair's 5 sons of old. Stop it." Do you remember that lesson of Allen the Fair, the ancestor? Remember she had the 5 kids with the arrows?
Yeah.
So now Temujin's mom is reminding her kids of that lesson. Anyway, time goes by in this hard life they're living in the forest. Then some of their enemies arrive looking for Temujin, probably because he's the oldest of the siblings. So Temujin has to flee in a hurry on a horse.
Temujin.
Temujin is going to become Genghis Khan when he gets older.
But who's Temujin? The mom or a kid?
One of the kids. Here's what the book says happened next. Temujin spent 3 nights in the deep forest, and when he led his horse towards the forest edge, thinking to go out, the horse's saddle slipped and fell off behind. "How did it slip off? Is heaven dissuading me?" he said, and he went back to spend another 3 nights. Again, when he was about to get out, a white boulder the size of a teepee fell. "Is heaven dissuading me?" he said, and went back to spend another 3 nights. But eventually, Temujin needs food, and he leaves the deep forest. And right away, he's kidnapped by the group that doesn't like his family. But they put a guard on Temujin who's not very strong. So Temujin knocks them out and gets away and hides in a river when they're looking for him. Most of his body's underwater, but his head is a little bit above water so he can breathe. How would you feel if all this happened to you when you're still a kid?
Not good. Yeah, not good.
But what would you have to be?
Resilient.
And Temujin is not just resilient brave, he's also pretty smart, right? Like he's realizing now's the time to attack the guard. I'm going to hide in the river, keep my head above. Like he's using his head a lot. The next day, Temujin finds a friendly person who helps him a lot and gives him a bow and 2 arrows. Temujin is able to escape this area and make it back to his mom and his family. So Temujin's back to living with his family, but it's still a very hard life. They're vulnerable, they're weak. And in this area, if you're weak, people are going to look to prey on you.
Don't they still have the 2 arrows and the bow?
Yes, they have a little bit, and they have some horses, but groups are going to want to take their stuff. So one day, bandits steal most of their horses. Horses in this society are like cars. Losing them is a big deal. So what would you do if your horses were stolen? Oh, there's only 1 horse left.
Do you need the horse after a second?
What would you do if you were brave? If you were going to be Genghis Khan when you got older?
I want to get my horses back.
Noodle, would you do that?
No,
Why?
because it would be too dangerous. I would wait.
So most people probably would do what you just said, Noodle. But remember, this kid is going to grow up to be Genghis Khan, probably the greatest Mongol who ever lived. So he does what Scoopy said. He says, "I'm going to get the horses back." And he takes the 1 horse the family has left, and the family is counting on him to succeed. If he fails, it's going to be very bad for the family to be able to have food and everything else they need. So Temujin is on a horse. After 3 days of tracking the bandits, following them, he comes across a stranger in a field. Temujin explains the situation, essentially, to the stranger, and the stranger says this: "Friend, you came here in great trouble. I want to be your friend. My father is known as Naku the Rich. I am his only son." And the stranger helps Temujin. So what are we seeing about human nature in these little stories so far? Are people good? Are they bad? Are they in between?
In between.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing to remember. Some people will steal your stuff. Some people will help you. And that's what Temujin sees. So together, Temujin and his new friend track down the bandits and steal their horses back when the bandits aren't prepared. Temujin offers to share the horses with his new friend. But his new friend says he's already rich. He doesn't need him. Now, what are we seeing about the kind of person Temujin is?
A kind one. He always gives everyone the fair payment that they deserve.
And what else are we learning about Temujin if you think about the stories I've told?
He's smart. He's kind. He's always on the good guys' team.
Well, at least that's what this story makes it sound like. The story was written by people connected to his grandchildren. So it's propaganda. That means you can't totally believe the version of the story it tells. But one thing we can also say is that Temujin is making allies, even at an early age, because these are people who are becoming part of his team. They can fight on his side in the future. By the way, Temujin is around age 16 at this point. I think we'll stop here for today. What did we learn about the Mongols and about Temujin?
We learned that Temujin was a very smart person and the Mongols like to fight each other in the simplest way. That's how I can say it simply.
It's a pretty good summary. Noodle, anything you want to add?
Some Mongols like me and some wood. So it's really taking a risk. So we'll like trick you or something.
Fair enough.
And also, I noticed that the person who's going to become king, I already forgot his name.
Temujin.
Temujin is being very brave, doing very risky stuff.
That's a great point.
Why he became king.
It's part of it. I think we have to remember he caught a wave. Remember, the Jurchens had just evacuated largely, moved their people into northern China. So this area, this steppe, this large wilderness forest country was ripe for somebody to try to overall take power over the whole thing. So Genghis Khan was a little bit lucky, I think, with the timing of when he rose to power. But also, he had a lot of very effective personal qualities. He was smart, he was brave, he was resilient, he was very savvy with allies and building relationships. And we're going to see more of that next time. Now, next time, we're going to do the entire rest of the story of Genghis Khan, all the way through. I look forward to telling you and discussing with you more of that story soon.
I like this episode. I can't wait to see more. And we really tell you to be brave and to not fight.
All right. See you next time.